I know I'm not the only one who thinks up cinematic scenarios in my head before I fall asleep, and sometimes those scenarios could be something that hurts my feelings. It's called the hypnagogic state. It's the transition between wakefulness and sleep, categorized by the dominance of theta brainwaves. Have you ever wondered though if these pre-sleep fantasies have a deeper meaning or can show things about our subconscious that we may not recognize in our waking life? Why does this happen? What can this reveal about our subconscious? And what is the meaning behind the fantasies that you have? Firstly, what are pre-sleep fantasies? They're imaginary scenarios or daydreams we think up as we fall asleep, often tied to personal desires, problem solving, or creative expression. This, as I mentioned, happens during the hypnagogic state. And so why do we create these made-up scenarios in our head as though it's like a bit of a daydream? It helps us to process our emotions from the day or a period of your life where we escape into a fantasy world, of course most likely creating ideal scenarios. It allows our subconscious to problem solve and get through certain challenges that we have in our day-to-day waking life. During this hypnagogic state, the brain is less focused on logic and more influenced by feelings, memories, and creativity, making it easier to explore desires or unresolved thoughts. These fantasies often revolve around romantic setting, post-apocalyptic, future goals, heroic adventures, or simply dive into a deep fantasy of magic. But a common theme may present itself during these fantasies, which is getting through a challenge, meeting a challenge. Carl Jung believed that the unconscious mind becomes more accessible during states like the hypnagogic phase. These fantasies often feature archetypal themes. For example, heroes, lovers, mentors, that represent universal patterns of the human experience. The imageries may contain symbols reflecting deeper truths or unresolved aspects of the self. Jung's technique of active imagination parallels pre-sleep fantasies as a way to explore and integrate the unconscious. These fantasies allow the mind to process conflicts or acknowledge desires. Jung suggested that engaging with the unconscious through imagination helps us to process individuation, where a person becomes their most authentic self. Our minds often use metaphors and symbolism to process the things that are happening in our day-to-day waking lives. And in this way, our fantasies act as a bridge between reality and our unconscious. Fantasies may seem pretty random, but they are often tied to deeper meaning in our lives. Speaking of sleep, in the last video I talked about Magic Mind's brain boosting elixir. This has been going so well for me. I have continued to experience the benefits of Magic Mind, including increased focus, concentration, and along with making conscious positive changes in my life, I really feel like I'm actually getting somewhere. Because I've had trouble with sleep and still do, I decided to give the Sleep Elixir a try. The Sleep Elixir has a blend of 11 different ingredients and is clinically proven to provide a restful, deep sleep. I'm so excited to receive this elixir from Magic Mind, and when I do start taking it, I will let all of you guys know how I get on with it. In the meantime, remember to get 45% off your Magic Mind bundle by following the link in the description. Now we're getting to the fun part. What your fantasies actually reveal about you and your subconscious. Have any of you guys had a post-apocalyptic fantasy? It could be set in a zombie apocalypse, for example. This could reveal an inner desire for self-reliance and resilience. It could also show an inner need to feel capable and to be prepared for adversity. Post-apocalyptic dreams could also show your dissatisfaction with your day-to-day waking life. For example, being dissatisfied with the postmodern world, the concrete jungles, and wanting to be able to escape that. Then there is the romance rescue fantasy, being swept off your feet. These fantasies may involve an individual, perhaps it could be somebody in your waking life or somebody that you create, coming to your rescue, sweeping you off your feet, being a knight in shining armor. This fantasy is romantically charged and often can show an inner desire to want to deeply connect with somebody and find that person who can provide you with that security and validation, that feeling of being cherished. Or perhaps they're yearning to feel desired, to be the prize, to be the individual worth saving. It could also show a vulnerability within oneself, a fear of abandonment perhaps, or an insecure attachment. The heroic adventurer, being a hero in a high-stakes situation, being able to overcome a challenge and save others. Good example could be Aragorn from The Lord of the Rings.
I see in your eyes The same fear that would take the heart of me.
This fantasy involves a desire to be purposeful and admired. This fantasy shows the inner yearning to be valiant, perhaps a need for recognition and confidence in leadership. Fame and glory. I'm sure many people don't like to admit to this one because Need I explain? This fantasy could involve becoming a celebrity, a famous artist, a famous musician, the list goes on. Somebody who is widely admired and recognized. This fantasy reveals a desire for validation, recognition, or admiration. And oftentimes, if you do have this fantasy, it's shrouded by creativity. So perhaps showing a creative process that is widely celebrated. This fantasy can sometimes show an underlying feeling of being overlooked or underappreciated. Now, a fun one for our creative viewers here, the unusual powers fantasy. I'm pretty sure most of us have these fantasies. I remember as a kid, one of my fantasies was the Dragon Ball Z universe because I loved Dragon Ball Z, and I used to imagine myself as a Z fighter. But these fantasies often involve the ability to be able to fly or have extra strength or to have magic abilities to be able to turn a frog into a prince. It certainly reveals a strong creative presence of that individual. It shows imagination and the desire to be able to go outside the confines of normal reality. It also involves a desire to feel empowered or to overcome limitations. Sometimes these fantasies, a lot of the time these fantasies, reveal the need for escapism of real life. So it can also be used as a crutch to escape reality where we may feel that we don't have control in our lives. The good old revenge fantasies. I don't really need to go into depth with this one, but it could be that you're getting back at a childhood bully or a workplace bully. These often involve very public and dramatic scenes. It could reveal inner feelings of injustice, anger, or resentment. It could also reveal a desire to reclaim power and assert your boundaries. And on the flip side, it could also reveal the inability to be able to let go of past issues. Meeting a mysterious stranger in our pre-sleep fantasies is another popular one. This fantasy could involve meeting a charismatic, intriguing person who changes your life in unexpected ways. It could reveal a longing for novelty, excitement, or transformation, dissatisfaction with your current relationships or routine, or a strong, romantic, adventurous spirit. What kind of fantasies do you have if you are comfortable enough to share them, of course? I know some of my fantasies have included magical worlds, having special powers, as I mentioned. Some of them have had a romantic setting or going back into the past. Say, for example, going back to the rise of the Anglo-Saxons or the ancient Egyptians. But I do remember as a kid really looking forward to going to bed so that I could imagine these scenarios and these fantasies because it would really help to relax me and help me fall asleep. And these days, well, I often just listen to a podcast to try to get to sleep or put the rain on. I do really enjoy delving deep into that imaginary world. It's the one place that only I get to be, that no one else gets to have a say with. I have complete control over this world. The next thing we could talk about are actual dreams, because I am a big dream interpreter. Every time I have a very vivid, intense dream, I'm straight onto Google trying to interpret the dream. There's also a whole catalogue regarding Carl Jung and dreams, which I find very interesting. I think we should do a video on it. Anyway, you guys, I hope you have a good day, night, morning, evening, wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you guys all again for the next one. Bye.